Okay. Mr. Akari, can you lead the flag?
Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Suzanne, can you please take a roll call?
Trustee Bernal.
Here. Excuse me.
Trustee Villalobos. Here. Trustee Levin.
Here.
Trustee Gould.
Here.
Trustee Shiakari.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. The district digitally records the audio portion of the meetings. The recorder is located at the front of the board scribe. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during this time period for inspection by members of the community on public district equipment without charge. As a community service, Pacifica Community Television records and broadcasts the meetings. Okay. The board met in closed session regarding, let's see, all items, what?
All items as listed.
Okay, all items as listed on the board agenda above on page 2. No action was taken. Let's see.
Now we have
Okay.
two votes.
So we have approval of the minutes for March 28th. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve? Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
And do we, approval of the minutes of April 3rd? Do we have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Okay. All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, approval of the agenda and the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. If any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests, any item shall be removed from this section and placed on the regular order of business following approval of the consent agenda. Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve.
Do we have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, communications. This portion of the agenda is available to the public to address the board on any issues that are not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for the speaker is 3 minutes. LSEA?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, CSEA?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. This is one of the items. Or no. Okay, so we have Sydney Tyler Parker.
I can't believe you're doing it to me. Hi, I want to talk to you a minute about the ADEPT testing for second language children. At Sunset Ridge, the teachers are required to administer these and enter them in Illuminate, which is a very difficult and time-consuming task. Other schools, this is done for them. One example is the principal does it for them at Ortega. So they're already, kindergarten teachers particularly, are already swamped by the number of assessments being required. The list is long and difficult to do while 23 other children are roaming around the room or had to be kept busy in some kind of way. I'd like to ask the school board to look into the state of affairs and find a way to help support all the teachers at SR. Specifically, to find a way to arrange for someone to do the ADEPT assessments for the teachers at SR and enter them into Illuminate. In order to inform instruction, the assessments can simply be our paper assessments first, so they can be given to the teacher to see where the children are. ADEPT has a series of assessments, so you might be talking about giving 1, 2, or 3 before you finish. So that's what I'd like to ask you to do, and I would very much appreciate it. Illuminate is quite difficult for all of us to do, or at least most of us to do, so I'd really appreciate it if you would look into that and see if you could find a way to provide some relief to the Sunset Ridge teachers. Thank you.
Okay. Board Superintendent Communications?
Oh, I have some correspondence.
Oh, you have some
I have some
correspondence?
correspondence, so I never do.
You never
but
do, so-
This time I do. Okay, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Christy Novak. She has been selected as an Exploratorium teacher leader to participate this summer of 2018, so I appreciate her signing up and then being selected. I think that that's a great achievement, especially for Pacifica School District. I'd like to congratulate the Special Education Department. I know I'm going to get the title wrong, but we have completed our state audit and all the documents are in compliance.
Performance indicator review, PER.
Thank you. So, and it's quite a task, I must say. And so I said to Ray, so does this mean we're done? And he said, yes. So I really thank the department for making sure that all of our paperwork is in order and that we have addressed all of the needs that we need to from the state level. I would also like to congratulate Michelle Schmidt, I believe, 6 months. Oh, she received her 6-month probation and as school assistant at Sunset Ridge. Sunset Ridge, right? Yeah. Yeah. So she is now a full-time employee.
Yes.
She's so congratulations to her. I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Board Superintendent Communications.
I can start.
Okay.
Everyone's looking this way. So I attended the Library Advisory Committee meeting. We discussed intercept kiosks, community meetings, planning spaces, and the big push is to emphasize that in this most recent push, it is with the understanding that Sanchez is going to be open. So they just want to keep kind of getting that out there, that the new vision is to still have both libraries. What that's going to mean with Sanchez is still kind of open, but I do have the plan if anyone is interested. Looking at how they're going to move forward with this. I attended the meet and greet at Sharp Park Library during Celebrate National Library Week to meet and greet the librarians and staff, most of who I already know, but it was a lovely event. And they had, I think she's from their San Mateo County central office, a woman who mans the Vets Connect program, which is outreach to our vets and helping them access support services. And she said that she's going to have a big table and information out when Half Moon Bay's library opens, which is going to be beautiful, and we can all feel very jealous of them. I attended the Pacifica Daly City Democrats Club, where Wendy did a great job of presenting information on the bond measure. And Sue gave a lovely impassioned endorsement, and that was a nice event. Sue is always very impassioned. I attended Jefferson JUHSD's community meeting where they were gathering input for their equity audit, helping to ensure all students are college and career ready, and it was actually very, very well attended, and I'm feeling hopeful. Attended the Echo Fest, and Wendy was up on stage. She's just hogging the limelight these days, and accepted an award for the school district for all the efforts and collaboration with the Beach Coalition. And Ocean Shore had a booth there for their Oceans 411, and Pacifica School Volunteers was there. And lastly, I stopped by Valamar last weekend for their craft fair, and they had a beautiful array of crafts. It seemed to be very well attended, and the kids were up on stage. I got to see them sing this really lengthy song, and they really hung in there and sang it the whole way, and it was really cute.
I don't see anything crafty on you. You didn't buy any crafts?
Didn't buy any crafts this time, but they were lovely.
All right. So we all attended the 10-hour session yesterday, which was grueling but good. So we're all kind of like tired of seeing each other. And then I went to the community meeting at Jefferson Union also, and I too walked away just feeling hopeful. You know, I feel like, you know, we start this process with the kids here, and you know, for 21st century skills and college and career ready, and I always, you know, wondered how much of that is, you know, is really being nurtured as they go along, and I feel that the work that they're doing is going to bring our kids, you know, into the skills that they need, and into the programs that they need as they age up here, and so I, you know, I feel hopeful because they're doing some things and seeing some action. We've seen they've got a lot of CTE offerings, community college CTE offerings on high school campuses next year. Big deal for those guys, and the kind of things that were talked about and the kind of work that they're doing is the work that needs to be done. So that's good.
So I went to the Valamar Open House, and it was a delightful event. I was just sort of blown away. And Principal Laveau sort of gave me the full tour. So I think she walked around with me pretty much the whole time. Then she said, "Oh, I've got to go," and she had to go announce they're closing down in like 15 minutes. So it was really good. I got to talk to a lot of teachers there, and they had a beautiful room with just all of the art that the kids were doing. It was great. So did that, had the LCAP steering committee meeting at IBL, and that was interesting and necessary. And there's something, EcoFest, I participated in a cleanup at Cabrillo School as part of my older son's Cub Scout troop. So we were there and it was good. So some little elves came over the weekend to clean up Cabrillo, and then Tom must have come and said, there's less trash around here. So it was good. Did that, and then today I spent all day down in Half Moon Bay at a retreat for a large-scale project called Getting Down to Facts 2, which is a project which consists of about 30 different studies on California public education, finance, and governance. And so with researchers from all over the country that have been commissioned to do studies. So I just came here straight from there. That's why I'm looking a little different. That was interesting. Lots of challenges brought up, pensions, special education, the funding of special education, LCFF, and how that might change. I mean, there's going to be a lot of suggestions on how we can improve LCFF to make funding more equitable, and also just to increase the amount of funding in the state system, because we really need it. So a lot of strategizing of how to message the results of these 30 studies. The results are in, but they're going to make policy briefs, and so you should probably be hearing a little bit more about that in the months to come. And I think that's about it.
I think you missed one or two things. I have you in here too.
Thanks.
It's been a busy April, so I had to write everything down. In the beginning of the month, we all did the review for the superintendent finalists. And then from that came a committee of Jesse and I who were on a mission to find out the comparing benefits and salary packages of neighboring superintendents. And Jesse gets all the credit for putting together all the data. And I don't know how he does it, but he does. And then we met with Josie, and she gave us more insight on the salary and benefits of superintendents. Then, after that, I had planned on going to the history curriculum review that was scheduled to be at Valley Mart, but it was a nice surprise that it was here right after the meeting with Josie. So I just sat down and picked up a newspaper. They had a different kind of, it wasn't a book, you know, that we're used to. It was more like a newspaper, and I just started reading. And I didn't mean to do this, but I picked up a newspaper that had to do with American Indians. And so I started reading it, and I liked the way that it tried to put the questions like, well, what do you think of that? You know, this is what happened. How do you think, you know, this, how did that make you feel? So I liked the new format that they had. And then the LCAP steering committee, that was right after spring break. And I was sitting at a table with Wendy was there, Jerry was there, and I really appreciate the time that everybody puts into doing the LCAP, because I feel like people have a say in what we're doing with our programs and our money and how we're doing that. And I just want to just say there was, you know, a suggestion that maybe we should help our teachers understand the transitioning of our special needs, special education, 504 IEP, what have you, when they're going into mainstreaming, and helping the teachers understand the body of the IEP and how we can help that student make a better transition and help. So maybe we can, I'm not sure how we could do that, but maybe look into that. And then, of course, yesterday was the 10-hour superintendent search and finalists.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I was here for the first going through of the applications, and that was on the 4th, April 4th, and then got back just in time for the last 2 days where we had the marathon with the finalists yesterday. And so I'll read the update on that. The Board of Trustees for the Pacifica School District have concluded the interview process for selection of superintendent. The board will take action on the selection of the superintendent at the May 16th board meeting, pending contract development and a site visit. The trustees would like to thank the interview committee for being part of the superintendent search process. So thank you to everybody here who participated in that, in the 10-hour marathons, both days. Okay, did you have anything?
So, adding to all of the wonderful things that we've been doing, I also had the opportunity to go to Read Aloud at Sunset Ridge with the Pacifica School Volunteers. It was well attended, I thought, and I was able to read in Debbie Little's class, and did a little bit different thing because I couldn't get my book in time, so I didn't. Suzanne downloaded it on my iPad and showed me how to mirror onto the projector. So I read the book off of the projector. It was really cool. And Nelson had the wherewithal to make sure that Robin was there in case it didn't work. So I said, they had no faith in me, but it worked beautifully. And the students were great. It was fabulous. I also had the opportunity to meet with Joe Bowler, who is a leading mathematician at Stanford University, and read her book called Mathematical Mindsets. And the exciting thing for me is she says Viva Revolution, and I believe is really coming along in Pacifica School District and in the North County. The things that she's suggesting that demonstrates strong practice and support of students in ensuring that they understand that we are all mathematicians is something that we're doing in our district, and I feel confident that as they move forward in Jefferson Union High School District with our articulation into integrated math in Course 1 and Course 2, that we will see our students moving in a positive direction. One of the things that it was very important to me when I heard about TC Reading Writing Project, the way we teach our students to read and write, is they love to read. And now I'm hearing that about math, that they love mathematics, they love their class, and they don't want to stop. And so that's always a good sign that students are feeling empowered and given that opportunity. And having the opportunity to listen to Joe Bowler just solidified it for me. And the same day as EchoFest, I walked over to Puerto 27, where they had a 40-year celebration for the Montessori school. Miss Dolores Rosales was being recognized for her dedication to opening the school and keeping the school moving forward. They have a waiting list. It's a wonderful program. The Montessori approach is a different way of teaching, and one of the things that I commented to the guests was our hope that Pacifica School District is moving in that direction of really integrated learning and project-based learning, and so I told her that we were going to catch up to her. So it was a wonderful celebration for her and a great testament to her work for early learning. Thank you.
Okay, district goals. The district values the goals provided in our local control accountability plan and strategic plan. All of our district board agenda items are tied to these goals. One or more goals are listed in the description of each board item. The detail for each of those district goals can be assessed on our agenda online public page or by visiting the district website www.pacificasd.org under District Information Board of Trustees. Okay, 11A, resolution number 2018-04-25, a day of the Teacher and Appreciation Week resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's
So I
also resolution 218-4-25B, which is for classified employee week. And so we have two resolutions that we would like to recognize our employees in Pacifica School District. So we kind of take the approach of Employee Month and sending out a shout out and a recognition of all of the hard work and efforts of our staff in our school district. And so I believe Elizabeth will be reading one resolution and then Laverne the other.
Okay, Day of the Teacher and Appreciation Week. Resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Pacifica School District, County of San Mateo, State of California, that whereas a strong, effective system of free public school education for all children and youth is essential to our democratic system of government, and whereas today's teachers nurture the academic, social, emotional, and physical development of students preparing the workforce for the future, and whereas no other profession touches as many persons with such a lasting effect, and whereas good teaching grows in value and pays dividends for beyond the classrooms, and whereas May 7th through May 11th, 2018 has been designated National Teacher Appreciation Week, with May 9th, 2018 proclaimed the Day of the Teacher. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Pacifica School District proudly proclaims its appreciation for the outstanding job performed each and every day by the teachers of the district who, through their gift of teaching, enrich the lives of all their students.
this is resolution number 2018-04-25-B. Board of Trustees, Pacifica School District, County of San Mateo, State of California. Classified School Employee Week. Resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Pacifica School District, County of San Mateo, State of California, that whereas classified school employees provide valuable services to the schools and students of Pacifica School District. That includes instruction, nutrition, transportation, facilities and grounds, as well as health, and whereas classified school employees contribute to the establishment and promotion of a positive and joyful learning environment. And whereas classified school employees serve a vital role in providing for the welfare and safety of Pacifica School District students. And whereas classified school employees employed by the Pacifica School District strive for excellence in all areas relative to the educational community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Pacifica School District hereby recognizes and honors the contribution of the classified school employees to quality education in the state of California and in the Pacifica School District, and declares the week of May 21st through the 25th, 2018 as Classified School Employee Week in the Pacifica School District. Regularly passed and adopted this 25th day of April 2018.
Okay. Do we have any discussion before passing the resolutions?
Well, I don't
Or
have
comments?
discussion.
There are
but,
comments?
Whenever I read these resolutions, even though they're beautifully crafted and read, they always seem to not really cover the admiration and the thanks that we give to all of you for everything you do for our students and our families. So thank you.
Ditto there. So, you know, it's, the school district isn't made good by us or by anything we do up here. Our school district is good because of the people that work here and the caring and dedicated staff, teachers that we have had here. You know, always, you know, for years and years, we just keep ending up with really, really good teachers and good employees in this district, and it shows. And you know, people still talk about that they moved to Pacifica because of the schools, and we're the district that people move here for.
So during our marathon session yesterday, one of the candidates, each of the candidates got the last question. They get to ask us a question. So they asked the board what we value about the school district, and all of us said the staff and how passionate all of the staff are and how committed they are to all our children. So thank you for making it possible, because it's not us, it's you guys.
I'd just like to say thank you.
I think beyond a day or a week, you know, we just hope you all know that we appreciate you all the time. So do we have a motion to approve the resolution? Okay, and a second? All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. This is a sub-notice, okay, this is employee of the week? No.
Yeah.
Oh, the wellness, okay. 11B, Wellness Committee Update, LCAP Goal 3, Ray?
So the Wellness Committee meets at minimum 2 times per year. So for this 17-18 school year, the Wellness Committee met last fall and this past spring, a few weeks ago. The Wellness Committee is made up of a nice representation of the stakeholders in our district. Classified, certificated staff, board representation, parent representation, and then reflecting all of our different school sites. Okay? And so this year, the Wellness Committee has made a few recommendations, 3 to be exact. The first is to add language that supports supplementing our current sexual education program with a focus on student-to-student sexual harassment and respect for all. The second recommendation for our wellness plan is to add language on how school communities are informed of the appropriate fundraising items that we can specifically under nutritional value that our district can raise money for. And finally, the third recommendation is using our now annual survey process to collect feedback from our parent and student community regarding the components of the wellness plan. And that survey can be tailor-made on any specific area that we want to hone in on from the wellness plan. So those were the recommendations for the committee, for the board to reflect on and consider. And it is recommended that the board approve these suggested changes for the current wellness plan in our district.
Okay. Do we have any questions regarding the changes to the wellness plan? Kathy?
Actually, my questions are not about the changes, but thank you for making those. I just wanted, and you might have explained this, and my apologies if you did, but under nutrition education, staff development will be provided to teachers and food service staff on basic nutrition and nutrition education. Is this through the regular PD days, or is this something else?
Yes, specifically on PD days to our staff in general, but it's my understanding too that there is also time set aside for our food services staff to do annual trainings that keeps them in compliance.
Okay. And under physical activity, the fourth bullet, schools will encourage students, parents, and community members to institute and participate in programs that support physical activity in and out of school. I'm just curious how that's going to be done, how parents and community members are going to be encouraged to institute this?
So the current process is through our school communications. The newsletters and emails that go out to the parent community, informing them of activities that may be occurring not only within their current school site, for example, Jogathon, but also activities that are happening in Pacifica community at large.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, do we have a motion to approve the wellness committee update?
I'll move to approve that.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 11C, facilities update, operations, Josie?
Thank you. I want to thank John Hashizumi, our Director of Facilities and Maintenance and Operations. He's completed his second year here at Pacifica School District, and he's going to, third year. It doesn't seem
Longer.
It's been almost 3 years. He has continued to take the lead on our district emergency plans, and more recently was instrumental in helping us get our facilities needs assessment done for our GEO bond. And tonight he's here to present the year, the past year, some key accomplishments, and then some plans for next year. So we do have the PowerPoint, and here's the, thank you, John.
Good evening, board members. I always enjoy this because I get to tell you what we did this year. So let's see. I'm just going to do a really brief presentation, so I'll walk you through it real quickly. Am I pressing the right button? I got to turn it on, right? Sorry. Okay. There. Okay. So we'll cover the year in context. I'll go through some key accomplishments, what we plan for next year, and then we'll open it up for discussion. Okay, so this year, as you're probably aware from Josie's several presentations, we've had some funding challenges. We're looking at deficit spending for this year, and it's anticipated it'll be deficit spending next year as well, so we're faced with that. This year we've had some increased utilities and fuel costs, and our capital work, our major capital projects around our schools, we're sort of limited in terms of funding to just whatever we've had in our deferred maintenance as well as whatever Prop 39 funding we've had. Okay, so some of the key accomplishments for facilities. We've put in a new pedestrian pathway around the Sunset Ridge parking lot, which has tremendously improved the traffic flow through the parking lot, particularly at drop-off and pickup. So no longer do the students have to cross through traffic, but they essentially walk around the parking lot, which has really smoothed out the traffic pattern there. And the students are liking that. I've gotten really good feedback from Ellie, and I think it's been a real success. We've, this past summer, actually almost a year ago now, we resurfaced the IBL gym floor, so it's got essentially a brand new floor, which would prolong the life of the floor itself. It was about almost 15 years old, so it was time to resurface the floor to get another 15 years out of it at least, yeah. Last summer, toward the end of summer, we also had sort of an emergency repair. We replaced a section of the gas line at Ocean Shore School that had some leaks in it, so we got that done right before school started. So that was really something that needed to be done. We finished the installation of the seismic safety valves at all of our schools, which shuts off the gas coming into the school building in the event of a seismic event. So all our schools are now protected, as well as the district offices here. And last summer, we also had a small roofing project at Cabrillo where we replaced the roof over the lobby area right at the entrance to the school, which was a really old roof and giving us a lot of problems with leaks. So we were able to get that replaced last summer. In the operations area, this past October, we introduced desktop disinfection. In other words, we actually disinfect the desktops in classrooms on the average about once a week, which is something we had not done in the past, but we instituted it in October of last year. And, you know, I was curious as to the effect of that. So I had Barbara, our CalPADS administrator, just run some data for us in terms of our absenteeism. And lo and behold, it's really had a significant effect. As you can see, it's reduced our student day absences, which, in other words, one student that's absent one day is a student day. So district-wide, we have reduced that 560 student days in the period October, since we introduced it, to February of this year, versus that same period last year. So it's had a significant effect. On the transportation side, we purchased a 15-passenger van with a generous donation from Recology of the Coast, and that's really helped our special ed transportation needs. Administratively, I worked on the facilities needs assessment, which was helpful in our GO bond initiative. I'm still working on our ArtStat workforce housing project, as you know. Recently, I worked with the city on improving the streetscape here along Reina Del Mar from Highway 1 essentially to the Valley Mar entrance here. And what they did is they've trimmed back some of the trees on the south side of Reina Del Mar for the first 3 blocks along here, and that's really helped with improving the visibility for pedestrians, particularly our students that walk along that side of the sidewalk coming from the bus stop or the intersection to Valley Mar. So kudos to the city for stepping up and helping us with that. In terms of my own staff development, we've worked on increasing communication, and specifically, I've instituted monthly custodial staff meetings where I gather all of my custodial staff from each school, both the day and the evening staff, and we meet for roughly 30 to 45 minutes once a month, primarily for safety training, but also to improve communications between the staff at all the schools so we can discuss, you know, common issues, that sort of thing. It's really improved the communication both within the custodians at the school, amongst our own staff, as well as with the school administrators. So that's been a positive. And as I mentioned, workplace safety, that's something I've always stressed to my folks, and we continue to do that as well, both on monthly meetings, and we'll probably institute some of that on one of our PD days as well. For this coming school year, Excuse me. This summer, we've got a couple projects. At Sunset Ridge, we are going to be replacing the multi-purpose room tile floor. They've had some issues there with the tile buckling, etc. So, in fact, just today, I had a pre-bid walkthrough with some contractors who will be submitting bids for that project in the next couple of weeks. And that's something we hope to get accomplished in July this summer. Also this summer, we are going to be doing an LED, which is a more energy efficient lighting system than the current fluorescents that you may see typically in our classrooms. We're going to be doing it at 4 schools this summer: IBL, Ortega, Sunset Ridge, and Valleymar, and that'll be all the classrooms, the hallways, the offices, etc. Essentially all the interior spaces. So we will reduce our energy consumption as well as, provide longevity in terms of the lights, because these LED light fixtures, or the lamps actually, they last 12, 15 years. So once you put them in, I mean, we really shouldn't have to touch them for probably, at least a dozen years. So that'll reduce custodial maintenance during the summer where they go around replacing lamps. So that'll tremendously cut down on that task during the summer. On the maintenance side, I believe we've talked about a district-wide UHF, which is a walkie-talkie system. And I kind of tabled it last year because of funding. So this year, I want to do it on a very small pilot basis project where we may run maybe 2 or 3 radios just amongst the maintenance staff district-wide just to test the system. We have an antenna at our Lindemar site, which I think actually covers the entire district. So I think the infrastructure is in place, and I just want to kind of pilot that program this coming year. We're continuing to, do our equipment service and maintenance programs. That's our preventive maintenance processes on our infrastructure equipment, like our heaters, lights, plumbing, that sort of thing. You remember from about a year ago, we had that lead testing project that we undertook where we essentially cleaned out all of our faucets at our school sites. Well, as part of that, we wanted to do an annual cleaning of the aerator, which is the little tip of the faucet. So that's one of these programs that are within this service and maintenance program, and that's probably going to take place this summer. We continue to do, thank you. We continue to do our roof conditioning assessments and inventories in anticipation of our bond initiative. We need that information to prioritize our roof replacements, so we know which schools we need to do first, which roofs need the work first, and that sort of thing. So this information is going to be helpful for our bond initiative. On the transportation side, we are looking to surplus and sell our big yellow bus. It's just not used enough, and our usage doesn't warrant the maintenance cost of it. So we will be coming to the board in the near future with a request to surplus that bus, and hopefully we can sell it and use that money for something else. Administratively, we're going to continue to develop the facilities master plan, hopefully with our bond initiative. I will be continuing to work on the Odstad Workforce Housing Project, and also, in anticipation of our bond initiative, I'm going to be looking at what is called the California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act, which people just always call CUPCA because it's a lot easier to say. But that is a alternative procurement practice or policy which allows for expedited bidding, I guess you might say, where the bid limit on a CUPCA project is higher than a typical public bid limit, which is currently right now for public works is $15,000. Under CUPCA, it goes up to $45,000. So, projects less than $45,000, which could be a lot of small projects, should we get bond money, we can implement those projects in a more expedited manner than the typical public bid project process. So I'm going to be looking at that, and then through Josie, I will probably be bringing that information to the board for discussion. In terms of our project funding, the Sunset Ridge multi-purpose room floor project, I'm anticipating it should be no more than $25,000, and that we can pay for with our deferred maintenance money. The LED lighting projects this summer, it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of, over 300,000, but we have Prop 39 money for that, and unfortunately, the Prop 39 money can only be used on projects such as this. It's not available, it's restricted money, so it's not available for use on anything else other than, energy efficiency type projects. So hence, I think this is going to give us the biggest bang for our buck for Prop 39 money. And of course, our GEO bond initiative, that would provide the funding for the major capital projects that we have been currently deferring. Okay, and it's open for discussion, and I welcome questions.
So, I think Cabrillo was left off of the list for the Prop 39 LED retrofitting. Has that already been done, or is that going to be scheduled afterwards?
No, because we don't have money to do all the schools, we have to sort of prioritize, and we used a consultant to help us prioritize. So their recommendation was to do these 4 schools because these essentially give us the biggest bang for our buck, because in terms of the number of fixtures that need to be replaced, that sort of thing, we're going to see the greatest energy savings on the 4 schools that we selected. So hopefully, at some point in the future, we can do the others, but, the recommendation was to do these 4 first.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, Laverne. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Laverne?
Okay. I like, everything that you're doing here. I kind of feel jealous of Sunset Ridge, just being that I'm from Ortega, and I'm aware that the PTO is trying to sponsor a safety by getting a crosswalk in along Terra Nova.
Right.
And that's been happening for quite a while because probably about 8 years ago, I did the same thing. I wrote to the city and took pictures of all of the schools except for Ortega has something special. And by that I mean they have like these yellow cones that they put up, so the kids can walk across the street. And what I was told is, it's a main thoroughfare, but that's what kind of makes it unsafe, is because there's not a stop sign for like 2 blocks. So the people can just speed along that way. And so I was just hoping that, the district could look at the safety of that morning drop-off and the pickup, because there's been several times, because I live right there, where a family just pops out and you have to put on the brakes. And so I just feel like we need to pay attention to the safety of Terra Nova. And I do know that we put in flashing lights along Loretta. Not that many families use Loretta. And then when people are walking to Ortega, rather than walking all the way to Terra Nova and Loretta to cross, they're just going to cross the street because of time, energy, what have you, because parents want to get to work. And so I just want to, say that, I support the PTO over at Ortega for trying to make this effort to make it a little safer for the families who are going to school there. And I just hope that we can put that on your maintenance agenda for the future.
Laverne, I'm not sure, but I think you're referring to the letter the PTO sent to the city regarding the crosswalk. Yes. So I was aware of that letter, and I did contact the city public engineer, I believe is his title, Vern Ocampo. Yeah, so I've been in touch with Vern, and I've asked Vern, can we start looking at this, and let's see what we can get done here. And I don't know if Vern was here. I believe there was another initiative probably 8 years or so ago. I don't know if Vern was involved in that
No,
one.
he was, yeah.
I'm sorry?
I remember
Yeah,
his
sorry,
name.
Van.
And there was even somebody before me who
Yeah.
did,
So yeah, I'm working.
advocate
Yes,
for it.
I'm working with Van on that to see what we can get done.
Did he give you any indication at all?
No, I mean I've left some messages and he hasn't called me back. So I'm continuing to try and pursue it with him, yeah.
Thank you.
And you had
Kathy, yes.
Is there an update on how we're doing with our vermin visitors who seem to keep visiting some of our
Not
school
bad.
sites? Or is it sort of under
Not bad.
control now? I know there was a huge issue like at Ocean Shore for a while that didn't seem to go away. And
Yeah, the most recent, I guess, incidents happened at Sunset Ridge. So we've been responding to that in terms of setting traps outside the exterior of the building to keep the rodents from coming into the building. And also, we just, actually starting today, coincidentally, we hired a contractor to what they call rodent-proof the building. So they did an assessment, I believe it was last week sometime, where they actually walked the entire exterior of the building. They took photographs, and they've identified virtually every opening, the size of a quarter or larger, where a rodent can get into the building. So starting today, they've actually started going around the building, plugging every one of those holes. And they'll do it for the next, I believe, 4 days they'll be there. And the idea is to essentially close every small opening on the exterior of the building. So prior to that, though, in the last, say, 3 or 4 weeks, we've been dealing with just catching whatever we can indoors, with glue traps, whatever, that sort of thing. Both the custodial staff as well as the maintenance staff have been going through the school pretty much daily looking for signs of, the presence of rodents, that sort of thing. So we've been working with Ellie and the teachers there to kind of make sure that we've got the thing under control as much as possible.
Okay. And you mentioned the work with the lead in the water faucets that we've done a year ago, and I just want to commend the district for jumping on that, because every once in a while there is still a school somewhere in the Bay Area that sort of pops up in the news about concerns with lead. So I'm glad we were so proactive. But other than that, just thank you to you and your staff for keeping our schools safe and clean and all the professionalism. It's much
Well,
appreciated.
we get a lot of support from the schools community as well, so it makes our job easier.
Great.
Thank you.
It's interesting in relationship to our little friends who want to come into our building. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because I think even with the Ocean Shore situation, it kind of starts with when we started composting.
Right.
And Sunset Ridge has started composting.
Yeah.
So we have to, there's just this whole thing we have to just keep in mind, keep it away from our doors.
Circle of life.
I mean, it's a circle of life. And now we have to put our food in bins because they can they find it.
Right.
So and of course we want to give little snacks to our especially our primary kids. And so we have to just be real mindful of all of those things. But I said, when I heard composting, I said,
Oh, no.
here we go. So thank you, yes,
Okay.
John, it's great.
Yeah. Oh,
So I have
Andrew?
one question about the bus. So we are using the bus occasionally?
It's, to be honest with you, it's used maybe twice a year, and it's really a matter of just finding the opportunities to get Tai Truong is really our only bus driver. He's the only one who's in the district who can drive the bus. Tai's primary responsibility, though, is transport for our special needs students. So he's pretty much tied up driving both in the mornings as well as in the afternoons for morning pickup and afternoon pickup. So he has a very small window when he can really operate the bus, and unfortunately, it's just not enough time to accommodate field trips, that sort of thing. So it's really, we've not been able to really take full advantage of having that yellow bus. So.
Okay. So for like outdoor ed and band trips and stuff, we're not using our bus. They're already going outside.
If we can somehow fit it into Ty's window between his morning and afternoons, yes, we will use the yellow bus. But unfortunately, those outdoor ed trips are getting longer and longer in terms of duration, so it cuts into Ty's other duties. So we've ended up having to contract that service out to transport for outdoor ed. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you so much for the report. And all
Okay,
of your work.
sure.
Okay. 11D, approval of contract.
Information.
It was informational.
Yeah.
Okay, 11D, approval of contract with Brookwood Program Management for management and advisory services for development of workforce housing at the Alstad property. Josie?
Okay, and we continue to move forward with our workforce housing project. Most recently, our subcommittee, Andrea and Kathy and John and Wendy and myself, did select candidates from the RFQ process, the request for qualifications, with the help of John Niblin and Brookwood. And we went ahead and moved forward and invited people to now participate in the RFP, request for proposal process. So the next step for us is really to prepare the bridging documents. We had previously talked with the board about doing it in phases where we go through a certain level of bridging documents to make sure everything's okay, like soils reports, those types of things, and then we'll reach the next milestone and borrow more funding. Right now, we currently have approval, as you approved at one of the previous board meetings, to get a HART loan for up to $650,000+, and the first tranche would be $350,000. And so we can now move forward with these bridging documents, knowing that we'll have funding in place from HART to move forward. So we have worked, John and I worked with Brookwood on this proposal. We also worked with John Niblin on all the contract language that you have before you tonight. The one thing I wanted to point out is timing. We determined we do not need to draw on the HART loan until July, because when you look at the approval of this contract and the amount of work that will be complete by June 30th, we will not be spending the $350,000 until July. So that's just an update for you on the funding portion of it. But you do have the proposal and the contract in front of you. If you have any questions, both John and I are here to answer any questions that you might have. But it's exciting to be able to go forward now with this next phase.
Are there any questions for them regarding the workforce housing? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the Brookwood contract?
A motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay.
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 11E, job share 2018-2019. That's Will.
So what I put before you is we have the job shares for the 18-19 school year. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a background, consistent with Article 23 of LSEA Pacifica School District Agreement, we met as a committee to review these proposals, these written proposals that were brought, and within that committee meeting, which was a really good meeting because we went over each job share individually. We were able to verify principals' support for those job shares, and also if we had any kind of questions about particular ones, and some of them we had to come back afterwards after some questions came up to approve them. They're listed there in front of you, the job shares that we've had. And we also had I want to say it's an addendum, is that right? MOU, I'm sorry, an MOU that was written in because of one site had a number of job shares that was above what the contract language had said. So we addressed both that within the MOU for that purpose. So, any questions in regards to these?
Questions for the job share? No?
Well, what's the definition of addressed?
Oh,
I mean, what did the MOU say?
why can't you just know? There's a clause within was in the contract, the LSEA, that there was a 1 to 10 ratio between at a school for job shares. So we had one site that was above that ratio. 1 out of every 10 classes was above that ratio. So we had to create an MOU to allow for this ratio to not be consistent with the contract.
So you upped the cap for,
Yeah.
okay. You
Yeah.
gave it a stay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And just out of curiosity, how far above it was? I mean, was it just marginal?
No, it was, I don't know what you would define marginal as. There was 5 from one site, I believe 5 from one site.
Four.
Four, sorry, 4 from one site. And there should have been 2, I believe.
So it's twice the limit.
Twice.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the job share 2018, 2019?
I'll move to approve the job share.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 5-0, thank you.
Okay, 11F, job description, Executive Director, Special Education, Human Resources, and People Services.
Okay, I bring forward to you this item. We have had some lengthy discussions regarding this particular position. At our last board meeting, we decided that the direction was to move forward on advertising for an executive director for special education, human resources, and pupil services. I got input from a number of the stakeholders, especially the special education department and cabinet, who will be most affected by it, and so I bring forward to you this job description for your discussion and action.
Okay, do you have any questions or discussion regarding the job description? Nope, everyone's good with
Well,
it?
I need to make a statement, which I'm sure no one's surprised about, but I read it over and I appreciate the redesign of the job description and the input. I remain concerned about possible unintended consequences for our special ed community, for our students, by possibly diluting the focus on special ed. The special ed students are some of our most impacted children. To serve these students requires tailoring services to different needs and different settings. Making curriculum accessible, things of this nature, takes an enormous amount of effort and focus, and so I just have to say I just remain concerned about changing it.
Do you want to have more discussion on it? Because I do feel it's important, special ed.
Well, I mean, this is the job, this is the new and improved job description, and, this is the direction that the board, at the last meeting, the majority of the board wanted to go. And they have beefed up some parts of special education, and, I can't look into the future, but it just seems like, there are only so many hours in the day, and when you're adding to something, something has to take priority and something has to be pushed back, and so I'm just concerned.
As I wrote in the memo, I definitely understand your concern, and I I know that 2 of us will be leaving, 2 people who have who oversee both those areas of human resources and special ed. And the only thing I think at this time, just because of the fiscal reality of the world, we need to do some reorganization, and yet I think that as we work with the new people who will be coming on board, it is a concern. I can't deny it. We are short-staffed in this cabinet level, and I've indicated that. Because of a lot of work that we do a tremendous amount of work, and yet our kids benefit so much from it, so you can't help but continue that effort. But there will be some things that we may have to put on the back burner for a period of time. But I think what's important is we've got to focus on special education, because, again, a very, very important population in our district, and the human resources in relationship to the policies, the Fair Labor Acts that we must follow. That really is a critical piece as well. So I think that's going to be the interesting balance on how they do the work next year. We're fortunate that we still have people in human resources who have some history. We're building up Susie Santiago, who is our new human resources assistant, so she'll be able to be helpful in that respect. And so I think we just have to wait and see, and I think that we have to be realistic. And a suggestion that I made, but again, I will work with the incoming superintendent, that maybe you have for a period of time until we have a better hold on the fiscal reality, is getting a coordinator for wellness, because the wellness plan takes time and you have to develop the SELPs, etc. So maybe a coordinator, very much like we do VAPA, the Visual and Performing Arts. We ask one of the principals to take ownership of that piece, because the wellness plan is an ed code issue, is a regulation we must fulfill for our nutrition program. So I'll work with the new staff when they come on board to see how we can do a little balancing. But most importantly, and that's why it was nice in working with the special education department, is special education is first on the list, because it's something that really you can't let go of, and to make sure that program remains whole. Because I do know, fortunately it was not in my time or tenure, but there was a time when it was broken, very broken. And we have worked very hard to make sure that we provide a strong program for our kids. And so we want to maintain that for certain.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the job description, Executive Director?
I'll move.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 4-0. Thank you.
Okay, 11G, description of the plan of Pacifica School District to serve expelled students in accordance with the requirements of the California Ed Code. Right.
All right, so this is a mandate from California Department of Education. Every 3 years, this plan is reviewed and possibly revised for each school district. Each district is required in San Mateo County to submit by a certain date to the county office their plan, which then gets approved by the county office of education ultimately. Pacifica School District has included in our plan proactive measures that we take to prevent an expulsion. I'm very happy to say that our district has not had any expulsions for the last 3 school years. And I don't want to jinx anything, but so far so good this school year. Thank you. Also in the plan are possible steps of how our district would serve an expelled student if an expulsion were to occur. And so this item is up for any discussion, any information that I can provide to you.
Kathy?
I would like to better understand on the second page, when you're talking about options to be considered to serve expelled students. Number 5, suspended enforcement of the expulsion and placement on the same school campus. I'm not understanding how that would serve the student or the school campus, or, I mean, it almost seems like a lazy choice.
So, and it's ironic, it is option number 5, because I dub it as the last resort option. So options 1 through 4 would definitely be implemented, and this would be a last resort for our district to choose. I can say, in my 6 years here in the district, we have never had to resort to that option. We have been able to use the alternatives that are mentioned in the above items.
So why would we even keep that as an option?
Just as an option for last resort.
Is that is it a legal reason
We
have to
do
have
not. No, I
that?
checked in with the County Office of Education, and it is up to us to embed into our plan the types of options we want, so we can easily remove it. And again, we've never had to use this option in the several years that I've been here.
I mean, because it's basically just negating the expulsion, is it not?
Well, I mean, I think in that very last resort situation, if the child were to remain at the school would have quite a challenge in creating a learning environment, not only for that child, but for those around that child. A positive school climate, culture, learning environment.
Right, and it doesn't seem proactive. So, I don't know how others feel.
So just really quickly, is the list rank ordered, or is it just number 5 that is rank ordered last?
It's just number 5, but yeah, so the irony that it is.
Because I'm kind of wondering if number 4 would be your most likely option. You know, you want to keep the kid in the district, right?
Number 4 is definitely the option that we've utilized when we've had to
Thanks.
serve.
I just wanted to make sure that was the case.
And I mean, for a small district that we are, in the very few cases that I've seen occur with number 4, placing them at a different school in the district, we've had positive outcomes.
I mean, since you've been here, it sounds like there's maybe been less than
Less than
a hand, less than 3. Okay,
Might be
so it's
2.
a very rare instance.
So, in thinking about supporting kids and understanding that kids are kids, and you know that they do make a lot of mistakes, and thinking about restoration process, keeping a kid at a school, at their home school, may be the right option, depending upon what the expulsion was for and what the thinking is going on with that child. We don't want to punish and throw kids away, because every one of them has potential. So, I mean, it kind of looks good to say, oh, well, they're going to do something expellable. We got to get rid of them from here. Maybe, but we can't say that, yes, you always have to get rid of them from that school. There is work to be done around, restoration. And restoration isn't going to come when you keep kicking them down the road. So.
Then would you go through the expulsion process then, in that case?
Well, if a child has done an expellable offense, then you're going to go through some kind of an expulsion process. But, you know, in looking at what that child has done, you know, do they necessarily have to leave? You know, I can think of instances where I think it would be okay to keep a kid. You know, so I don't mind number 5
I think
being
sometimes
there.
being put in a different situation with other kids, you know, changing their situation environment would be a positive thing.
So changing their environment, is that always the answer to supporting kids and making better choices and
I don't think there's any
improve?
always answer to any of them.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't mind seeing that there because sometimes it feels like we're not really dealing with the kid. We're dealing with their environment, but we're not really dealing with that person if we're just going to kick them over to another school. That maybe they need to, you know, deal with the home school and the environment there. I mean, not in every case, but, you know, I do think that is an option for kids. That's just
I'll
my
jump in with
opinion.
that. And I understand that, you know, we have to have these in place. I think being a parent of an expelled student, I could see all of those happening or taking place. But going back to Andrea's point is, you know, when somebody's suspended, the statistics are astronomical on how they're going to drop out of school. So I think going back to suspension rates and trying to prevent this from happening by the restorative practices or referrals to counseling might help. Now, if I look at this, for example, I'll just be personable. My son, even though he was expelled, still considers himself part of the school
community.
that he started out at. So thinking,
He probably wants to graduate with that class, doesn't he?
yeah, he's already done that. As of yesterday, he had enough credits and whatnot.
Congratulations.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, exactly. But thinking of their mind and considering, you know, where their process is, you know, he still considers himself number 5.
Yes.
And, you know, for the offense, you know, that's arguable, you know. So I think we do need to have all of them there just because there's all different kinds of kids. And you don't know what the circumstance is going to be for them.
So anyway, I'm good with it.
Okay, this was just information and discussion,
Yeah.
so if there, yeah,
So
there's
shall
nothing
we
to be
just-
decided at this point. so-
Yeah, so shall we, well,
Okay.
he needs to submit it, so we just want to
So
make
we'll
sure.
leave it as is? Just leave it as an option, so whether you use the option to be determined later. Okay, thank you. We have 11H, resolution number 2018-04-25-C, board compensation for missed meeting.
So per our board bylaw 9250, remuneration, reimbursement, and other benefits, we do have a section about if a member misses a meeting for one of the stipulated reasons that we can ensure that he gets compensated for that meeting. So I bring forward to you this resolution for Jesse, who was absent from March 28th board meeting due to hardship deemed acceptable by the board.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll
You
second.
can't vote this one. Okay, all in favor?
Order passes 4-0, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 11I, third quarter report on Williams uniform complaints.
Okay, for the third quarter, January 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2018, there were no Williams complaints in the categories of textbooks and instructional materials, teacher misassignment or vacancy, and the condition of facilities.
Okay, future agenda items.
Okay, I don't see any additions for our next meeting, except oh yes, there it is. The acceptable use policy will be brought forward. We have some added information in regards to, I want to say, collection of student information or
Through cookies,
through cookies.
not chocolate chip cookies.
Student cookies.
The real cookies.
Okay, and then we'll have the announcement of the
Oh, and we
That-
we'll need
it's not on
to
there.
include the
the announcement of the
superintendent.
superintendent.
Boy, it's so surreal.
More for you. Huh?
Yes, we'll have to add that. Thank you.
Okay, so that is left off.
Just can't say it or do it. huh?
Okay, anyone have any other comments? Kathy? Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:25. Sorry, couldn't read those.
I was talking to the